Welcome to Astrology Heals, a podcast that brings you messages of hope and healing from the planets. I'm your host, Marina Ormes, author and founder of Astrology Heals. I'm an evolutionary and transformational astrologer of over 30 years. My purpose is to help you live your authentic truth with clarity, courage, and creative power. What does it mean when the lunar nodes change signs? This is what is happening right now in the collective. We are shifting the way that karma, or the consequences of past actions, needs to be addressed. It's about the shape and direction that collective healing takes place. So if you think outside the box and envision a better world for all people, what would that look like? What would be important to you? The power of this shift is that it could help us bring about real, exciting change. People differ on exactly when the shift takes place. It's July 26th for the true nodes and August 18th for the mean nodes. Those are just two different ways of calculating their positions. But either way you look at it, around this time period, the lunar nodes are changing signs. They are opposite. There's a south node and a north node, and they are moving from Virgo and Pisces to Leo and Aquarius. The lunar nodes represent the consequences of past actions coming home to roost. It's what we are unconsciously drawn to repeat and how to access the breakthroughs that help us do things in a healthier way for everyone involved. It's not an easy process. It takes willingness to acknowledge our weaknesses and our failures, to recognize where we've gotten it wrong, do the work of self-examination, and take responsibility for the ways we participate in harmful patterns, whether that's toward ourselves or others. And the healing work is ongoing. It's part of being human. The nodes changing signs doesn't mean the work gets easier or harder. It just means the area of focus shifts. The lunar nodes are also connected to eclipses, and eclipses represent potent moments of shift. We are in the middle of eclipse season now, just as the nodes are shifting. So during eclipses, new possibilities can enter our thinking and awareness. It's not always a comfortable shift, and some eclipses will affect you more than others, but in general, they are moments when the energy lines up to bring in new awareness. Eclipses always happen within a few degrees of the lunar nodes because the nodes are the 2 points where the orbit of the moon around the Earth crosses the plane of the Earth's orbit around the sun. So when a new moon or full moon happens near one of these points, everything lines up in the same plane, and that's when we get an eclipse, which is why the nodes matter. So the shift of the nodes out of Virgo and Pisces into Leo and Aquarius really reinforces work that's already underway in the collective around evolution and healing. And it activates that Leo Aquarius polarity, which is about how we center the needs of the self versus the needs of the collective and the wider world. It's an invitation to heal our wounds around being seen. It's also about power. Who is centered? Who has privilege? And how we might give away our power to someone we perceive is better or more capable than we are. The lunar nodes help us see how things could be, what we could have, but that's not all they do. The North Node is the evolutionary medicine. It gives us the instructions, the map for how to get there. And right now, that medicine is moving into Aquarius. Aquarius is about the individual. It's about shifting the center of power and authority from the few to the many, moving away from seeing power as something that lives in some symbol, something greater than ourselves, whether that is a celebrity, a leader, a politician, a teacher, or like a guru, spiritual leader. It's usually someone who is supposed to be a protector and a guide. And part of the collective karma we have to move through is the temptation to give away our power and say, I don't have responsibility for this because it's not up to me. It's up to the people who actually have that bigger influence. We can hand over our power and expect others to solve problems for us, or maybe we accept the approach they offer without questioning it. Or maybe we just assume that we have to accept the status quo. The North Node in Aquarius offers a different possibility. It gives us the instructions to do this healing work. So it brings an opportunity to reclaim your power, to question the status quo, to take responsibility for being part of the change. It brings the potential for collective shifts in consciousness if we are willing to shift our own personal consciousness. It might look like healing themes like oppression, inequality, injustices of different types. It could mean recognizing that a beloved teacher or a spiritual figure has human weaknesses. It could mean uncovering corruption in a politician or a political party. It could mean confronting habits and practices that have brought harm to the environment, for example. These are just some ways this might show up. And the nodes are leaving Pisces and Virgo, where we had an invitation to get clear on what we want, what's important, what matters most in that bigger picture, to notice what's wrong with our routines and our ways of doing things, which is very Virgo, and get clarity on that bigger picture, or where spiritual healing is needed, or where we've experienced some disillusionment. That is the energy we're leaving behind. So during that period, slogans like Me Too, Black Lives Matter, Abolish ICE, climate justice, these are some of the examples of how we have collectively externalized some of these deeper truths of what's going on below the surface, bringing them into the light so we can look at it, talk about it, address it, and doing this healing and evolutionary work in the collective. And now, with the nodes moving into Leo and Aquarius, It's not just about naming what's wrong anymore. It's about recognizing how we can actually bring about change in the areas that matter most. The evolutionary intent here is for real creativity and innovation to replace the idea that we should just make the most of a broken system, or that a centralized leader or authority figure will show up with all the answers and fix things for us. It's about seeing how we are responsible for making that change, for being part of that change as individuals. And the South Node in Leo asks us to look at privilege, at where we have ourselves maybe benefited from systems of oppression, and the places where you unconsciously diminish yourself and your own contributions because of internalized messages that make you feel anxious, ashamed, or afraid of just being who you are. The impulse that we feel to move toward healing and justice is a possibility, but it only becomes real if we are willing to do the work. And that work, even though it has to be done externally in the world, begins internally with how we talk to ourselves. With the South Node in Leo, that means taking a hard look at your ego's need for comfort and challenging yourself to step into the discomfort that real Aquarian change requires, right? It's the sign of shakeup and disturbance. So we need to disturb our internal environment. And this can bring the greater equality and the benefits to the collective and the greater good. And it's not only the nodes inviting us to step into this freedom and equality right now, we've also got Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto brings hidden truths to light. In Aquarius, it's about how power awakens in the individual. I had a whole podcast episode on Pluto in Aquarius, episode 9. So you can review that episode for more on Pluto and Aquarius. We also had in July a full moon in Aquarius, where we saw this energy highlighted as well through the opposition between Jupiter in Leo and Pluto in Aquarius that happened during the full moon, that happened during this super powerful and very rare outer planet cradle, the Barbo's basket of July 2026, and part of that whole activation. In a lot of ways, the nodes changing signs is just an additional activation of energy that is already in place, rising to the surface for us to look at, because the nodes carry this collective karma, and they also speak to the past and how we've done things before, how our current situation and status quo came to be, and how the things we've accepted as true and unquestioned can actually be questioned. So notice how that shows up in your daily life, the way that new possibility could emerge, the places the light comes through. So bring it back to your own power. You're not responsible for healing everything, but you are responsible for healing yourself, for examining your own habits, patterns, thoughts, beliefs, the ways that you move in the world, the choices you make. And making mistakes in the past doesn't make you a bad person, but it is an opportunity to take a deeper look and ask, how could I do things differently? How am I contributing to systems I don't even like, that I don't want, that don't actually work for me? I mean, look at where you spend your money. Maybe if you have a tendency to go along with a sexist or racist joke, and just pay attention to those places and look for ways that you can speak up, be part of the solution, change your habits, how you can be helpful. And that could be getting involved politically, it could be finding a community, it could be finding something that matters to you on a smaller scale, because even though you may not be able to fix things on the large scale, you can definitely make a difference on a smaller, more local level. And that's what this is about. It takes all of us participating in small ways to bring about truly innovative solutions and create new ways of doing things. And when we do that in community, when we do that together, we can each bring our perspective, our skills, our gifts, our experiences. So our differences can come together to create a more powerful whole. In a natal chart, the South Node represents your survival impulses, your habits and patterns, your default wiring from a past life that shows how you respond under stress when your survival feels threatened. And this part of you will respond even when your survival is not actually threatened, because the trigger is coming from the past. And it might show up as anxiety or phobias or your heart racing, even though there's no actual threat. Your body believes that that threat is real, right? So the North Node in your natal chart is your teacher. It's your medicine. It is what shows us how to repattern, but we have to choose it. We have to find our own way to rewire that programming. We have to choose to accept the challenge and step more fully into the healing path, that evolutionary process that leads us toward fulfilling our soul's purpose. We have to choose to follow the instructions that are there. And the nodes shifting signs right now in the collective is about how we do that together as we live through this moment, working through the karma and the consequences of past actions, choices, and behaviors that help us unlock a different way of doing things. And we start by seeing where that lives within ourselves. And that's what I've got to share with you today. Thank you so much for being here and for all you do to make the world a better place. I appreciate you, and thank you for supporting this podcast by following, rating, and sharing. You can learn more about the lunar nodes in your chart at transformationalastrology.com. So check that out, and until next time, be well. This is Marina Ormes. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Astrology Heals: Clarity, Courage, and Creative Power. If you'd like to dive in a little deeper with this material, I invite you to join my member community at transformationalastrology.com. There, we work together to unlock the energy of each unique moon cycle through guided meditations, exercises, and more to support you in your journey to be your best self and to be the best you can be to make a positive difference in the world around you. That's transformationalastrology.com. Check it out. You can also find daily mood of the day videos on my YouTube channel at Astrology Heals. See you there.